कुरान के अंदर आपको एक जगह पर बहुत ही अजीब और गरीब आयत मिलेंगी. I'm not going to go through entire ayat. Just listen to this word. O believers, believe. O ईमान वालों, ईमान लाओ. अरे भाई, ये तो ऑलरेडी ईमान वाले ही हैं. Is that ayat is talking to us? If we call ourselves the believers, then Allah is challenging us. He's telling us, O believer, believe. Why do we need to believe when we already believe? Because we believe superficially on the things our parents told us and we are just following it. Or we are believing in the Shariat, the Zahir. And Allah is saying, and the Imam is saying in this Farman, believe in the Batin. O believers, ए मेरे प्यारे spiritual children, O believers, believe in the Batin, believe in unseen. Remember the 5 principles of the Islam? What are the 5 principles of the Islam and the Iman? Believe in Allah, believe in angels, believe in books, believe in prophets, and believe in unseen. Believe in unseen. यह पर बातिन की बात आती है. अच्छा, तो let's go to a couple of other farmans and then we can open the floor for some discussion, and then I have a couple of more things that I would like to share. The one, why ilm? Remember, these courses are continuation of the ilm shanasi. Why do we need the ilm? So we are covering why do we need the batini ilm? Because physical ilm, the scholarly ilm, we are all educated and we have a lot of that. What we need is a batini ilm. So I wanted to read this. इमाम ने फरमाया है, लेकिन कलाम मौला अली का कलाम है जो इमाम अपने एक लेक्चर के अंदर फरमाते हैं. हज़रत अली अबी तालिब, who emphasized in his teachings that there is no honor like knowledge. नॉलेज से बड़ा कोई भी ज़्यादा फ़ख्र की चीज़ नहीं है. There is no honor like knowledge. If you have the Batini knowledge, then you are the honorable. You are the honorable. If you don't have a Batini knowledge, then it does not matter what you have, how much money you have, or how much different titles you have, it does not mean anything. हमें कोई याद नहीं है कि कौन सा मुखी और कौन सा अमलदार इमाम सुल्तान मोहम्मद शाह के ज़माने में था या उससे पहले किसी ज़माने में था. But we remember our peers, our dais, our hujjatan, our imams, our prophets. Why? Because they did a miracle. What was that miracle? They gave us the knowledge. The knowledge that continues today. Knowledge that we learn from our history. And remember Imam's Rahman, when you are sitting, you should take a couple of hours a day to think about who you are, where you come from, who are your forefathers, and who was Adam. And Imam says, Imam goes even further. And what was before Adam? That's the knowledge I'm talking about. हमको किस तरह पता चले? How would we know who Adam is? And what happened to him? And how it happened to him? How Allah created him? And who was before him? Again, is Imam is tricking us by giving this farman? No, Nazbillah, no. It is all possible if we go inward. अगर हम अपने बातीन के अंदर जाते हैं और हमारे मज़हब को हिस्ट्री से और दाइयों से और पीरों से और गिनानों से और फरमानों से और कुरान से सीखते हैं, the deeper knowledge of our tariqah, it is possible to know who Adam was, who sent him, where he came from, and what was before him. Because Imam would not give us a farman which was not possible to achieve. So there is a couple of more faramin, and they are both from Rajkot, India, October 21st, 1903. Is a farman of Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah, Salawatullah Alayhi, may our soul be sacrificed to their Imam. Imam says, what big difference is there between your religion and that of the others? Think about it. Your religion is spiritual, and that of other is physical. And if the spiritual knowledge will not reach, listen to this carefully, and if the spiritual knowledge will not reach their soul, अगर बातिनी इल्म हमारी रूह तक नहीं पहुंचेगा, तो मुला क्या फरमाते देखें, if the spiritual knowledge will not reach their soul in childhood, then the physical religion, jismani deen, would get set into their mind. माफी के साथ, अगर आज हमारा तरीका और हमारा सोचने का तरीका फिजिकली है, जिस्मानी है, तो इसमें किसका कसूर है? Because our soul never received the spiritual knowledge. And this is not today's farman. This farman is over 120-year-old. Mullah warned us, if we don't receive the spiritual knowledge, then the physical tariqah, physical religion will set in our mind, and we will follow the spiritual tariqah like monkeys and donkeys. Imam says it in his farman. If anybody want to read this farman, let me know and I will share. Imam says, अगर आपने अपने बच्चों को आपने अपना दीन नहीं सिखाया तो गधे हो जाएंगे. They will not know their religion. Spiritual, बातिनी religion हमको सीखना है इल्म के जरिए से. कौन से इल्म के जरिए से? बातिनी spiritual knowledge के जरिए से हमको सीखना है. There are a few other farman, but let's open the floor and let's see what question do we have, and then we will read. I have a couple of more faramin that I can share. Ji. Go ahead, don't be shy.
Aziz sir, if I may, I'd like to make a comment expanding on something you mentioned about the word esoteric and Batin.
Ji.
I just want to make one point that sometimes we understand the word Batin and esoteric as being spiritual, like the spiritual interpretation, which of course is correct, but there's another connotation to the word esoteric which is very important, especially I would say for Ismailis, that esoteric is not just a spiritual sort of hidden meaning. It is that. There's also something which is, it's considered an initiated type of meaning that is known only to a specific group. So for example, the Sufis, certain Sufi sects might consider their knowledge as Batin as well, which it can be for them. That's their hidden and their interpretation, their sort of inner meanings. But esoteric would be specific to each group. So an Ismaili, authentic Ismaili ta'wil or interpretation is not necessarily the same as another one's interpretation. And it's not just knowing something which is beyond the physical, but if we are Ismaili, then our knowledge should be guided by the Ismaili tariqa, meaning the Imams and our history of guides and hujjats, and this understanding of what the inner meaning of Quran is. And I think that's important because also Imam has mentioned that in his Irshad Mubarak, it was during Golden Jubilee time in Dar es Salaam, and the Imam mentioned, if I may just read really quickly half the passage, but the Imam says that he's speaking about the Quran and says that this is an area of the practice of our faith. This is an area which is highly important, but which requires commitment on behalf of the Jamaat and guidance on behalf of the Imam. And I want to make it clear to my spiritual children that we are and will continue to seek out knowledge and understanding, particularly from the Quran, so that my murids can look forward to the future with interpretation which is correct. And I found that to be interesting where he says interpretation which is correct. And then immediately thereafter, the Imam continues and says, you are aware, of course, that over the history of Islam, there are thousands and thousands of interpretations of the Quran for every time. For every part within the Ummah, there have been interpretations of the Quran. And it is important that as time evolves, we should continue under the guidance of the Imam to seek clarity and understanding from the Quran and Sharif. And I want my spiritual children to know that this is an endeavor which is being undertaken on an ongoing basis, and that guidance will be given on a continuing basis. So I just wanted to make that point that sometimes esoteric, it doesn't mean just pick up, I would say it doesn't mean pick up any book that sometimes maybe some popular Sufism has written about what the Quran means, but we should also look forward to something from specific with our tariqah. But then the question comes here is also, this Quran for me was made this Irshad was made in 2007, and we're now in 2020, and I'm not sure if it's just myself, not being guided to the right sources, but something that wonders, where are we getting this interpretation which is correct? When the Imam has said that it will be on an ongoing basis, but sometimes I wonder, how do we seek out the proper sources of interpretation for our faith?
Yali Madad.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yali Madad to everybody, this is Faraz here. Thank you, Aziz bhai, for sharing. It was very informative and very touching. Just few thoughts, as you know. The Batin is really, as you know, is hidden in Zahir, right? So Zahir is a source to get to Batin. And this is why Mawla has given us the body. But really, the essence of Batin, for Ismaili belief, is, like Hazimam said in Moscow, right? To recognize the Imam of the time. And to recognize the Imam of the time is not only saying that he is the Imam, but also understand the concept of the Nur, and also to do his Farman Bardari. Because in Quran, even Mawla says, right, for zakat and in our tariqah, the Sawn, give me Qarz Husna. So really all these Zahirs do add up to the Batin, because when Imam says that you can be like Pir Sadaruddin, Pir Shams, and all the Prophets' name, what did they have really in the beginning? They had ALWAAZ, right? They had the Sawn. They had really the purity of everything that they developed because of the dua, the Sawn, recognition of the Imam, and following the Farman of the Imam. So, in reality, when you think about it, the Quran itself is really encompassed in very few surahs of the Quran. And this is where Imam says, understand the Quran so that you have a true interpretation what Quran really means. And of course, all that meaning will not come to us within one reading or one understanding of whatever we have learned. basically, the whole Quran encompasses, of course, in Surah Al-Fatiha. And then if you go to the second surah, Surah Al-Baqarah, it's very clearly given to us how are we going to get to the Batin. And the Batin, it says, Mola says, right, Alif Lam Mim, Zalikal Kitabu La Rayba Fi, Hudallil Muttaqin Allazina Yu'minuna Bil Ghaibi Wa Yuqimuna As-Salata Wa Mimma Razaqnahum Yunfikun. And you read all this, just the 5 surahs talks about that believe in the book. I'm also the Batin Ghaib. Do your the Sawm and your Salat. Believe in the Prophet and all the books. Right? And then he says, if you follow these things, you are the one who are following the path, and you will be the one who will be successful. I thought I'd share that with you guys.
Thank you, everybody. So the comment on the Khyal, because Khyal left us with a question, and the question was how. So we remember, and this will also cover what Faraz Sahib has also said. Imam has given us a clear guidance, and there was 2 parts of this guidance, as we just heard from Khyal, that it will take hard work from the Jamaat, and then it will take some work from the Imam. But the first part, initial part, the first step is taken by the Jamaat to learn the Quran or learn the history or seek the Batin of our tariqah. Because until we say that I wanted to learn, it would not work. Second, the Farman of Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our soul be sacrificed to that Imam, he says, learn the Quran or your tariqah from your own teachers, from Ismailis. As Nasara learned their religion from their people, and Jewish learned their religion from their people. So when you are learning, and if you want to learn the Ismaili tariqah from the Quran, I'm going to repeat this part again, because somebody come back and challenge. If you want to learn our tariqah, if you want to learn the Imam and the recognition of the Imam and the Batin of our tariqah, then learn from the Quran, from those who knows the Quran. And now I'm quoting the Imam Farman. Learn from those teachers who knows, who have the ilm or the knowledge of our tariqah, and also have little bit, and the words Imam uses, Sud Buddh, the understanding of the Batin. Because if you only have understanding of the Zahir, then what is the difference between our teachers and the other teachers of the Zahir? So conditions Imam has given us. Someone who knows our tariqah and someone who have the understanding of the Batin. Because we are trying to learn the Batin of our tariqah. If you want to learn the Zahir of our tariqah, that's perfectly fine. Go to somebody who knows the knowledge of the Zahir and they can teach you. If you want to learn the Zahir of the Quran, go to anyone you want to learn the Zahir of the Quran. But if you want to learn the Batin of the Quran, then you must learn from those who understand the Batin of the Quran, who understand our tariqah. And then one other thing that what Faraz Sahib said, when Imam says to recognize me, He's announcing entire world, is telling everybody he's the Imam of the time. Everybody knows he's the Imam of time. We all recognize that he's the Imam of time. What Imam is telling us, the one who wanted to learn, that learn and they recognize the nur of the Imam. Now you take this farman and take the other farman. Take the soul and look at your soul. अगर हम अपने रूह को बाहर निकाल के देखें, so what Mulali has said, whoever knows their soul knows Allah. Whoever knows his soul more, know Allah more. तो ये फरमान के अपने रूह निकाल के देखो, और इमाम का ये फरमान के रिकॉग्नाइज करो इमाम को, because our higher soul is Imam. Recognizing your soul is the recognition of the Imam of the time. Do you see how you can put those faraman together, 2 and 2 together? Until we learn how to put 2 and 2 together, we will not be able to reach to the conclusion of the interpretation what Imam is talking about in Golden Jubilee Farman, that it is me or I who would do the interpretation of the Quran. But we don't see any interpretation of Quran in last 12, 13, 14 years. So, has not Imam done his job? Yes, he has. Who has he done this job for? Those who are seeking the interpretation of the Quran. Remember the first condition Imam had put in that Farman? If you wanted to learn. If you wanted to learn. So let me stop here. Salim Kamriya is, wanted to say something, and I think Barkat Gilani wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Yes, Aziz, so one of the friends has a question. So the friend asked, while teaching Batul Ilm, how can we teach about the spirituality of our tariqah? And the friend asked in the context of the Farman, which you just shared of Sultan Muhammad Shah, if the spirituality knowledge will not reach the dear soul in childhood, then the physical religion would get set into their minds, and we will follow spiritual tariqah like monkeys and monkeys.
Ji. So, Barkat Sahib, did you want to say something before I answer him?
No.
Okay, your phone is on mute. अच्छा, तो ये जो सवाल आया, मेरे ख्याल में कनाडा से कोई पूछ रहा है ये सवाल. Yes, if we don't have the spiritual knowledge, how will we teach this to our children? That is the question. So it is upon us. It is demanded on us. It's been burdened on us to first learn our tariqah of the Batin. And if you don't know where to look or how to look, trust me, ask Imam. He will guide you. He will always and always will point you to those people who has this knowledge. But first condition is on you. The responsibility of the teaching to the children is on the parents. It is on us. I remember another farman of Sultan Muhammad Shah, that those who have the Batini knowledge of our tariqah, if they don't teach to others, then they will be sinful. So if we have the Batini knowledge of our tariqah, it is upon us, responsibility on us to teach. But one cannot teach unless someone wanted to come forward and say, I wanted to learn. So the first condition is for one to say, I wanted to learn. And then responsibility falls on the teacher to teach, because if he does not teach, then it is not your fault. He is sinful according to Imam's Farman. Does this answer your question? Seek the true knowledge. Seek the true knowledge. Learn, 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 and then you will be able to teach your children. One other principle to remember in learning and teaching. In learning and teaching, one principle. When your children ask, when your friend asks, when your family asks, when your Jamaat asks a question, if you don't know the answer, it is okay. Definitely it is okay to say, I don't know the answer, but note the question. Now it is upon you to seek the answer. Go look for the answer, find the correct answer, the answer that touches your heart, and then give that answer back to the person who was asking. इसको बोलते हैं हमारे मज़हब में हुज्जत पूरी करना. It is your responsibility to find that answer because someone trusted you with the question. Do not give the incorrect answer. If you know the answer, fine. If you don't, then find the correct answer and give. It is important. But all of us together, inshallah, we are seeking the knowledge, we are seeking the Batini knowledge, the true knowledge, and we will continue on this subject for next few weeks. One of the ayat and one of the farman I want to read, and then we will open again for the questioning because we still have about 5 or 7 more minutes. In one of the farman, Imam says, on the day of judgment, other people may even have an excuse that they were unaware of Sirat al-Mustaqim. But you, and Imam describe who you are, the Arabs, the Badakhshan, the Khojas, the Momnas, etc., the Ismailis of the true path will have no excuse. Will have no excuse. Because we have the living Imam to teach, to guide, to interpret. And if we are the Mu'mineen of this tariqah, the follower of the Imam, it is upon us to learn. And the ayat that I was referring to was the Surah Hud, ayat number 7. It is a whole ayat, but I'm going to only read the small part of it. On that day, on the day of Qiyamah, you will be tested. You will be tested in your knowledge and in your deeds. अगर हमको इमाम ने, अगर हमको खुदावंद ताला ने, अगर हमको रसूलों ने सिखाया ही नहीं है कुछ, if they have not given us the true knowledge, how unfair it would be for Allah to test us on the day of Qiyamah. Test kabhi aata hai? When do we give the test? First we go to school, we learn, teacher teaches, end of the year, when we have enough knowledge, we give test. The very first day you enter the classroom, and if your teacher says, okay, you're ready for your test, that would be really unfair of him. Correct? Look at this farman. What excuse will we have at the end of the day? How we will pass this test at the end of the day? If Imam has not given us the knowledge. इमाम ने हमको नॉलेज दिया है, इमाम ने हमको बातिन सिखाया है, तभी जाके वो बोलता है कि तुमको क्या एक्सक्यूज होगा तुम्हारे पास और तुमको टेस्ट देना पड़ेगा. Because he has done his part, now he's telling us that you will have no excuse. Now he's telling us that you will be tested on that day. and the test comes after the learning and the teaching. We have done our part. We need to ask ourselves. Imam has done his part? Definitely. Definitely he has done his part. We will continue on the subject of the batin of our tariqah and the need of the knowledge in our tariqah, inshallah, next week. We still have a few more minutes. If any more question, please go ahead.
Everyone, thank you so much, Aziz sir, for your wisdom. Just wanted to make a point where the Imam uses the word recognize. If we look at the etymology of the word recognize, it comes from the Latin word that means to recall to mind or to relearn. And so it is as if you're identifying someone you've already encountered before. So I think it is fascinating that the word recognize has been used, because this makes sense both spiritually, having come from him and returning to him. So it's a recognition, recalling again of that, or in the Zahir, already having known him as the physical Imam, to then re-know him as the spiritual as well. So it would be a relearning on both ends, and I believe in another farman he has actually said you must learn, you must relearn and unlearn. So just wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. Thank you. Any other comments or question?
Yeah, earlier you mentioned the concept of die before you die, which I believe is a hadith of die before you die. If we're looking for this in Quran, would Surah 2, Ayat 54 be a good example of the same teaching of Quran? 254 being the guidance of Moses for those who are worshipping the calf when he asked them, I can recite the verse if that's okay, but it's the verse where he's asking them to kill themselves. Would that be the equivalent, can we say, from a spiritual sense, of die before you die?
Yes, yes, because they were asked to die. Yes, thank you. Remember, you can always ask question online, or you can send it afterward. And if you have comment, you can do so too. And thank you, everybody. If there is no more question, we can stop here. And may Mola be with you and your family. May Mola keep you all under his Nurani Didar. Ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Ali Madad. Anyone else? Thank you, everybody, again. Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.